Today's episode is called How We Lost 50 Pounds. And it's not so much about weight loss, exercise, regimen, but more about why we did what we did and how we never set out for this to happen. I'm Andrew, and with me always is Kat. How are you doing, Kat?
Doing great. I'm excited about this episode.
Yeah, I thought it was a great idea. We've alluded to it through different episodes, and I think it's just time we kind of unpack this because when we say how we lost 50 pounds, it looks like wow, Normally, if you want to do that, you got to cut off a couple of limbs. So and we did not do that.
Do that. Yes, got all the fingers, toes, and arms and legs. Thank goodness.
Thank goodness for that. So let's go back to the beginning and we start everything with awareness and why. So why did we do this?
Yeah, well, I actually wanted to say before we even started that if you want to lose weight, we're just sharing our personal experiences. We're not medical professionals, dietitians, nutritionists. We are none of those things. This is a personal development podcast. So the way that we went about this weight loss journey is really a personal development journey. It's a self-improvement journey. It's a mental health journey. This episode is not going to be about, wake up, run 2 miles, come home, eat some leaves. That's not what this is about. So full scope, this process was also not very fast. We didn't set out to do this. We set out to feel better, to be healthier, and to have more energy. And this didn't happen in 6 weeks because we had a beach trip coming up and Andrew wanted to look his best in his bikini. This was not what this is about. Not even a smile cracked. I thought that
I visualized myself in a bikini and it did not look good. I'm like, no.
Anyways.
I'm a one piece kind of guy anyway.
There you go. So over the course of about a year, lots of trial and error. Andrew lost 30 pounds. I lost 20. And yeah, this is how we did it.
Yeah. Thank you for saying that. Yeah, we're definitely not medical professionals, but we did ask people in the field about stuff as we were going through all of this and there was a lot of learning as we went through different books, and we'll cite some of them for people as we go through it. Take us back for yourself, or for both of us if you want, to what you were feeling before we kind of started switching up our diets and everything else.
I think the biggest thing for me was super low energy. I've been through a terrible time. I went through a lot of life changes, got my first place with my kids on my own. We called it the ice cream house because it was in walking distance from 3 different ice cream shops. So you could see where this is going. Yeah, I just, I had always been healthy. So growing up, I danced my whole life. So I wouldn't even say that I was necessarily overweight. I just didn't feel good. I wanted to take a nap every day. I was exhausted. I was really run down being a solo parent to my kids. And I just wanted to get back to feeling like myself. And I think a lot of moms can relate to that. I wanted to get back to a place where not necessarily like I was this 20-year-old dancer, but just to feel like someone who was vivacious, who had energy, who had excitement. I had gotten some autoimmune diagnoses, which made a lot of sense. Just mental health wise, my physical health reflected my mental health, and it wasn't good. I am a totally different person now, about a year and a half later from when I started. But that was sort of the beginning of feeling like I'm not going to be able to do my job. I'm not going to be able to have enough energy to get to the end of the day and still be my best self at bedtime if I don't figure out how to feel better inside of my body.
I like that. Yeah, it was bless the ice cream house. We had a lot of ice cream there.
It's a good one. It's a good one.
Yeah, it was really good.
Just move. That's how you do it.
Don't live near ice cream. For me, listeners, when I started this, it was a very different idea. I was at the end of my taking SSRI, and it was not working for me. And I've since found out that my body was actually producing enough serotonin, which is what that was providing me. It was a different issue that we don't need to get into right now. But I knew that coming off of this medication, I was going to need to have a new way of being, or else it was going to be really bad. So the first thing I looked at was, for both of us, was how food can cause inflammation in your body if you have the wrong foods, and everybody's different for that, though there are some pretty common culprits. It was about eating better for like an anti-inflammatory diet, because there are certain things that cause inflammation. And just like, when you have a meal or you go out for fast food and there's a whole bunch of things in there that aren't good for you, you feel kind of bloated afterwards in your body. Well, your brain is also feeling that bloat. And when your brain feels inflamed, you feel more anxious, you feel more worried, you'd have terrible thoughts depending on what kind of person you are. And I was going through all of that. And that's when I realized, okay, I need to understand my body and how it works. And I wasn't, yeah, I was 30 pounds heavier, and that sucked because the drugs had kept me on the couch for months. I remember you saying to you, like, I know I need to get up and move, and I physically cannot do that right now. So switching the diet wasn't set for weight loss. It was set for feeling better. And I'm trying to think of the first book, but one of the big books that we read and tried to our best to comprehend was The Plant Paradox. And that one was really interesting because for me, it led me to understand that most of our serotonin is in our digestive system. It's in our intestines. And if you are eating the wrong foods, you are destroying your gut biome. And that makes everything harder for you. You're not digesting your food. You're not getting the right chemicals to your brain and everything. And it really kind of you start to see it as your gut is like the second brain. Some people argue it's your first brain because it's actually sending the signals to your brain, not the other way around. I think it's like 9-1 gut signals going to your brain versus coming down. That one was really interesting because it led us into genetics and all these cool things. And it was basically, I'll pare it down to a few sentences here, but we are eating in a way on this continent. We're in North America, and our genealogy goes back to Europe, and we're essentially speed dating in the food world right now, eating lectins, which is really fine if you've grown up, if your ancestry is on this continent, you're used to this. But Northern Europe, where my heritage is from and DNA is from, isn't used to eating lectins, which are things like tomatoes, pepper. I'm trying to think of the big culprits here. All these like lectin foods that I had never heard of this term before were killing my gut biome. And they're doing that to a lot of us from the sounds of it. And when you start to eat without those, your gut is able to start to flourish again. The other thing we did was remove glyphosate, which is Roundup food. So we started eating organic because that is another thing that I think they tested, like, I can't remember how many kids, but it was like every kid had glyphosate in their system because we're all eating foods that are sprayed with pesticides. And that, again, has this impact on our gut biome, which is really, really important for a healthy life. And when you treat your gut well, you start to feel better in all these different ways. And his newest book is Dr. Stephen Gundry, and I'm just finishing it up. It's called Gut Check. He has another one coming out too about, I think it's called Gut Brain. And it's all about how if you take care of your gut and your gut buddies, as he says, then you're going to be taking care of your body and your brain. And that's really been what happened for us. Was we started taking care of our insides, and then the weight loss was a result of it afterwards.